Welcome to our channel. This is beyond imagination. Elvis Presley is considered one of the most significant musical icons of the 20th century. 45 years ago his biography came to a tragic end, after a life marked by ups and downs, controversies, successes, and records. In this video we will present some of the main facts about his trajectory. Embark on this journey beyond imagination. The real-life story of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. Elvis's biography has all the elements that make up a great American classic: humble beginnings, untimely talent, redemption, patriotism, controversy, rebellion, and tragedy. The King of Rock was born in a small two-bedroom house, after a difficult birth, in Tupelo, Mississippi, United States. Presley's twin brother, Jesse Garon, was stillborn and Gladys was so ill from birth that she was taken to the hospital. She couldn't have any more children. Gladys Presley was very fond of her red-haired, blue-eyed son and worked hard to bring her family together. The first years of a new family are not easy. The Presleys survived with help from the government and help from friends. Things got worse and she got into serious trouble when she lost her home when her husband was sentenced to 3 years at the Mississippi State Penitentiary, also known as Patchman Farm, for forging after altering the value of checks. Since he was in prison, Gladys couldn't raise enough money to keep the house going, so she and her 3-year-old son moved in with a relative, the first of many family moves. Over the next few years, Elvis started school in his hometown and was considered a regular student. There he also had his first contact with music. With the teacher's encouragement, the boy overcame his shyness and began to perform at music festivals in the region, in addition to taking guitar lessons from his uncle and the pastor of his church. Because they moved so often, Presley's childhood was consistent with only two things: his parents and music. Since his parents usually worked, Presley found music whenever possible. He listened to church music and taught himself to play the church piano. When Presley was 8 years old, he was a frequent visitor to the local radio station. For his 11th birthday, his parents gave him a guitar. As a teenager, aged 13, the Presley family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, in search of better opportunities. Before long, Elvis intensified his musical studies and began to stand out among his peers. The blonde hair was dyed black with rose oil and Vaseline. The sideburns appeared around the age of 15 and would make the singer world famous. When he graduated in 1953, he had already decided that music was his future. It was with the rise of rock and roll in the 1950s that Elvis Presley's life story began to change radically. After earning money working as an usher at a nearby movie theater, the artist rented a Sun Records studio for a few minutes to record a 2-track album. However, their intentions were different. Elvis's dream was to be discovered by a record company executive, and his plan worked. The owner was enchanted by this rebellious and introverted young man, and Elvis ended up returning to Sun Records to record 2 more songs. After the family moved to Lauderdale Courthouse, he played regularly with other aspiring musicians who lived in the area. While racial segregation remained an everyday reality of Southern life, that didn't stop Elvis from listening to great musicians like B.B. King. Whenever he could, he used to go to the African-American Beale Street in the small town of Memphis to watch the black musicians perform. However, the singer was not ready yet. Sun Records manager insisted on finding a white artist with a black soul, a black voice and music, to reach all audiences. After being initially rejected, Elvis started working as a truck driver and began to frequent bars that offered musical performances. There he came into contact with the blues and started his experimental journey with the guitar. By the time Presley graduated from high school, he could sing in every style from hillbilly to gospel. He also had his own singing voice and movement style. He combined what he saw and heard into a unique new sound. The first to notice this was Sam Phillips of Sun Records. Gradually, his recordings reached radio stations in the region, arousing the curiosity of listeners. Along with guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black, the singer began recording tracks and performing at clubs in Mississippi. By the late 1950s, the trio had released dozens of albums on Sun Records, blending blues, country and bluegrass influences to produce a genre that would come to be known as rock and roll. As Presley's popularity soared, he hired Colonel Tom Parker as his manager. The singer returned to perform as a solo artist and became an icon for the teenage audience, especially women. From then on, he began to appear on local and then national television, attracting the attention of several record companies. In 1956, with the album Heartbreak Hotel, Elvis became the first rock singer to reach the top of the Billboard charts. The rebellious posture, the sexy tone and the deep voice made him an absolute success. It wasn't long before Elvis was starring in advertising campaigns, concerts across the country, and even international appearances. Presley's popularity soon surpassed the reach of Sun Records. Then Phillips sold the singer's contract to RCA for $35,000. To further increase Presley's popularity, Parker put him on television. Presley's popularity soared and money poured in. He bought his mother the house he had promised her in March 1957. It was the 13-acre Graceland, Memphis mansion for $102,500. On December 20, 1957, when everything Presley touched seemed to turn to gold, he received a draft notice. Elvis could have been dropped, and despite his great success, the star chose to join the army as an ordinary soldier. Surprising the entire public, he put his promising career on hold to respond to a patriotic call. He stayed serving in the American Army in Germany. With his career on hiatus for nearly 2 years, many, including Presley, wondered if the world would ever forget him. But the crafty Colonel Parker's efforts to keep Elvis's name and image in the public eye were so successful that some say Presley remained as popular as ever after his military experience. During Presley's time in the military, 2 major personal incidents occurred that would scar him for the rest of his life. The first was the death of his mother, which saddened him greatly, never recovering from the great loss. The second was meeting and dating 14-year-old Priscilla Wagner-Beaulieu, whose father was also serving in the army in Germany. With success came marketing and extreme luxury. The singer began to wear more exaggerated, flashy clothes while rocking, terrifying the traditional audience and delighting younger fans, who filled stadiums and concert halls around the world. Since then, he has firmly established himself as an American public icon. After returning from the army, he starred in several films, such as Love Me Tender and Viva Las Vegas, in addition to being the first to earn a living in Las Vegas. After Presley was released in 1960, he began recording music and starring in several Hollywood movies. It became clear to Colonel Parker and other aides that anything involving Presley's name could raise a lot of money. So Presley was forced to make movies for quantity rather than quality. His most successful film Blue Hawaii of 1961 served as a model for several others that would be produced later. He became increasingly dissatisfied with the poor quality of the films he took part in. Between 1960 and 1968, Elvis made few public appearances, focusing his energies on Hollywood. In total, there were 33 films in the period of 8 years. While Presley was busy in Hollywood making movies, other musicians took to the stage, some of whom, including the Beatles, sold millions of records and threatened to make Presley share his King of Rock status. To retain his title, Elvis would have to do something to keep his crown intact. In December 1968, he made a one-hour TV special entitled Elvis Dressed in Black Leather. Calm, sexy and debonair, he wowed audiences and won over critics. The comeback special keeps Presley alive. He returned to recording new music and performing live in various U.S. locations. In July 1969, Colonel Parker booked Elvis into Las Vegas's biggest venue, the New International Hotel, landing an impressive contract. Their concerts were a huge success. Until 1970, the hotel booked Presley for 4 weeks a year. He took advantage of the success and toured several American states for the rest of the year. It wasn't long before the Elvis biography stage was filled with controversy. In 1967, the then 32-year-old singer married Priscilla Wagner-Beaulieu, 22, after dating when she was just 15. Less than 2 years after their marriage, the couple's first and only child, Lisa Marie Presley, was born in Memphis, Tennessee. In the following years, the singer started to perform at the City Casino, where he recorded some of his greatest hits. However, his golden years ended, especially in 1973, when his marriage to Priscilla came to an end. The star began to gain weight, suffering serious health problems, and became increasingly reclusive, depending heavily on prescription drugs. Ever since his popularity, Elvis Presley began working at breakneck speed, recording music, producing films and concerts with little rest. To keep up, he started taking prescription drugs. In the early 1970s, persistent drug use began to cause problems. Presley began to experience severe mood swings, exhibiting aggressive and capricious behavior, and gained a lot of weight. Presley and Priscilla separated and were divorced in January 1973. His addiction to prescription drugs was getting worse. He was hospitalized several times for overdose and other health issues. His performance began to suffer. Many times he was mumbling in the middle of songs without being able to sing in a definite way. In June 1977, the singer performed in Los Angeles for what would be his last show. 2 months later, on the 16th, his girlfriend Ginger Alden found him on the bathroom floor at Graceland. He wasn't breathing. He was taken to hospital, but doctors were unable to resuscitate him, and he was pronounced dead at the age of 42. His death was initially attributed to an arrhythmia, but was later changed to a lethal mixture of prescription drugs. In the following days, more than 8 million Elvis records sold out in stores around the world. Several avatars of the artist began to appear in various corners of the United States and other countries, fueling the myth Elvis didn't die and generating rumors about his supposed cause of death. Some fans claim that the musician died of a drug overdose. Others claim that he committed suicide, although the official cause was cardiac arrhythmia. In the 20 months prior to the singer's death, the doctor known as Dr. Nick, who had his license revoked, prescribed more than 12,000 medications for Elvis. However, the singer's cause of death remains shrouded in mystery. The body's autopsy has been kept secret for 50 years and document information will not be available until 2027. Elvis Presley's legacy is extremely precious. His biography does not end with his death. Instead, at the end of life, the myth emerges once and for all. To this day, Elvis is the artist with the best-selling records and singles of all time. His Graceland mansion became a place of pilgrimage, and his legacy became a true milestone in music history. Elvis Presley is one of the few artists to become known only by his first name around the world, and his talent and accomplishments have made him a pop culture icon. Its reputation is enduring.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your like. Your comments and suggestions are very important to us. Also, share this video with others. This way, our channel will continue to grow to bring new content full of mysteries and curiosities. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive our videos firsthand. We appreciate your audience very much. And until the next video, beyond imagination.